At what point, if officers have pulled you out of the car and said, we're arresting you, or we're, get on the ground and on and on. If you run from the police, at what point do they have the right to chase you and to subdue you and to handcuff you? And at what point do those rights stop and the ability to charge the officers themselves with kidnapping and assault begin?
Well, the standard typically, Leland, is that you are able to use the amount of force that is necessary to meet the force that is resisting the arrest.
I'm just going to, Chief, I'm going to interrupt in 1 second. The new tape that we have up, we believe, is the tape that will eventually show the beating itself. This is from some of the cameras. And Dr. Warren, maybe you can just help us educate us.
What you're looking at begins with this. If you're looking at what begins with a sort of view of a street.
Yeah, that's what we've got now.
It looks like it's blank and there's nothing on it. What will happen is it will play for maybe a minute or so, and then the camera will begin to turn. It's a motion sensor camera.
We're watching from that high shot. We're watching the officers and Tyre struggle on the ground.
This is the beginning of the beating.
Yeah, and so what? Over the next few minutes, the beating will begin. Chief, back to you. At what point are you allowed to use force? And then once he's in handcuffs, the force has to stop, correct?
Once you're in handcuffs, it's proverbially a game over. And that is the point of demarcation. And I'll be very interested as this video goes on to see at what point he's handcuffed. And if the beating continues, that would be a very egregious, and it would definitely lead to a lot of the public remarks that we've heard from Chief Davis and others that have viewed the video. So I would be very interested to see at what point Mr. Nichols is cuffed.
Dr. Warren, as you've watched this with law enforcement themselves, what was their commentary and narration of what they found? The line from maybe a questionable, non-questionable traffic stop and a chase, which happens every day, hundreds of times a day, to the point that this was such a cruel and senseless beating?
I didn't really see this with any police officers. This was shown to us by the city attorney with fellow council members.
Okay.
And Leland, if I could interject very quickly. For the charges to go to kidnapping, that lends a lot of credence to the fact that they have some visual evidence that the pretext for the stop was illegal. Because otherwise, the kidnapping charge, I think that's very telling as to what the prosecution and the police have uncovered in their belief of what they can prove in a court of law to bring that type of charge.
Dr. Warren, help us just understand the Memphis Police Department. These were members, we understand, of something called the Scorpion Unit?
That's part of that group violence intervention plan that we talked about, that's designed to lower the murder rate by stopping people from killing each other. It's about 80% social work and about 20% very specific police work that are working in units trying to identify people who have killed people or may be the next people to shoot, and also identify people who may be the next people to be shot, and provide services and to try to stop it. We actually have lowered our murder rate by about 12% after the first year of this being initiated.
Wow. Chief, just to you, you mentioned that it was unusual to have officers that were this junior on such a group of people. Is that because of sort of the autonomy that they are allowed to operate in order to do the very valuable and needed things as Dr. Warren laid out?
Absolutely. And if you do have inexperienced officers, I think it's very important because what people are going to look at, or what professionals will look at, is the supervisor to officer ratio. And given the mandate, I would believe that a unit like that would have to intervene in high-level drug cases, probably with an expectation that very dangerous weapons are involved, stolen vehicles. You would want very experienced officers that understood the levels of or the rules of engagement. Younger officers without as much experience, Leland, they may go overboard. And quite frankly, this is what we're witnessing. So I would be very interested to know how the officers were selected, what their history was relative to discipline or use of force, because those things could be very telling as to if they should even be in a unit with that high level of scrutiny and expectation.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.